Hey Hunters, Halo Zoo here for a kind of special video. This is going to be the first of a series of videos that's going to be going back through the various One D&D Unearthed Arcanas and going in and looking at the various classes. So there's going to be 11 of these videos since as of now we don't have the Monk's second version, so I can't really show that class in this series, but every other class will get one. We're going to be starting with the experts, going through to the priests, warriors, and mages. Uh, but anyway, this is going to kind of look at both of the versions that we've gotten for each class and talk about what I think went right and wrong of each and where there's still room to grow. So we're going to start off with the bard of all classes, which, yeah. Uh, so a few notes on what I won't be mentioning. So with Bard specifically, there is a uh, very unique case where because we've had so many changes, and also without the next UA version, we don't have the new version of Bard that uh, people kind of want to see, actually, even though they've said they're kind of happy with it. But I do think they are actually close to getting Bard right. Because one of the big problems that Bard has had, as we'll see, is being changed. So going back to the original version we got in the second playtest UA we got, not going to be mentioning the races and stuff, because that is pretty old news. But with the Bard, we kind of started off on a very bad foot. So here we have the Bard. So I'll be honest and say this version really sucked. Like, I think part of it is because their spell list got changed. So they had this stupid idea that, oh yeah, we'll have all the classes, instead of having their own spell lists, so rather than work with 8 spell lists, we're going to make it 3. And while the sorcerer and wizard, yeah, it makes sense that they use the same spell list. They've used the same spell list before. Warlock getting the spell list, the arcane list, was also nice because Warlock has really had a bad spell list, especially when you got beyond 3rd level, where in the player's handbook, you had 4 first level spells and 4 5th level spells. That's it. And I think they still need upgrades. But anyway, so there's the arcane list. So it was okay to give to other classes where it's like, yeah, the wizard shares it. It's okay, even if it does take away from, yeah, wizards have straight up lost their special thing, that they did have the big spell list, and that's part of your class's identity. You have a big spell list and the tools to use it. And I will say, they were better at using the arcane list anyway, so it wasn't the worst. Bard, though, was also shoved on the arcane list. And that worked really weird. So that's kind of the big problem that this one had, where, and we're going to start with spellcasting. So spellcasting is kind of weird because it's both the worst and best part of this. And probably the best thing they did with Bard in both UAs was, oh hey, you prepare spells. And this part, oh my gosh, it's so awesome. You actually prepare spells as a bard. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. And it's like, it solves a problem Bard has always had, where they have had an amazing utility spell list. They just suck at using it because they're a learned caster. In the next version, they removed that. They, quote unquote, prepare spells without the actual benefit of preparing spells. It's stupid. But that change is the best. This part, why? Just why? You can only... So not only are you stuck with the arcane spell list, which means all your support and healing stuff, that's gone. Oh, by the way, you're... So it's like, yeah, I've got arcane, yay. Oh, wait, I can only do divination, enchantment, illusion, and transmutation spells from the arcane list. Yay. How fun. I have a terrible list of spells that... Yeah. So, screw you, bards. You don't get your spell list. That was the most unique one of the bunch, too. Because they had a lot of stuff that you wouldn't see combined anywhere else. Like, they have the enchantment and illusion stuff, but they also have a bunch of support stuff from cleric / the divine list. So it's like, yeah, you've just lost everything. And then Vicious Mockery, which used to be your signature cantrip, is available to any arcane caster, which I'm actually fine with, honestly. It is very much like it's tied to Bard, but I'm okay with Bard not being the only ones getting it. I wouldn't mind if Bards just got it by default. I still kind of stand by that, even though they did get... in the most recent UA, they got True Strike, which, for Bards, ironically, that aren't Valor or Swords, you can actually have another option instead of Vicious Mockery. Oh my gosh, this has been years in the making. And by other option, it's like, yeah, Thunderclap exists, but it's kind of a melee one. True Strike, though, it's actually a decent melee one that you might be more willing to use aggressively, and it also can be used at ranged, which is really nice. Especially since Bards are the only ones who can innately use it well. But, back to this version of Bard. Yeah, spellcasting, best and worst part. I love the idea that Bards are prepared casters, and I would love to see that brought into the newest version, where you can prepare spells with the Bard spell list. It's perfect. Would fix so many problems that Bards can run into, and make their spell list even more of a feature and actually have players utilize it. It'd be amazing. And then we get over to Bardic Inspiration. So, the D20 test, it's pretty much the same. Because I think it does whatever it did before, it's just worded differently. It's consolidated in one term. Which, this version was also really powerful because it was a reaction. So, whenever someone... Oh, and it was also like when they fail, too. It's like when they fail the D20 test, boom, Bardic Inspiration. Which I actually preferred. I'll be honest. I know it's like a classic thing that you give other people the die, but I also like the idea that you don't preemptively give someone inspirations like they didn't really need it. Instead, it's like, oh, hey, you need the inspiration, I'll give you the inspiration, which I prefer. There was also a heal added, though. This is more of a band-aid to the fact that they screwed up your spell list and you don't have healing spells anymore, so here's a band-aid for it. Though it is a nice idea where whenever a creature takes damage, you can reactively use your Bardic Inspiration to heal them, which I think it's a cool ability. It's just, for what else this did, it was kind of a slap in the face of, oh yeah, you're not a priest class, so your healing sucks. Even though they were a main support. And another issue I have with Bard is they're called an expert. I don't think expert should be the group, and I don't think Bard should be part of it. I think Bard should be part of the support group alongside Cleric and Druid. Paladin moves over to Warriors, and then Monk moves over with Ranger and Rogue to be the scouts. That's what I would do. And kind of emphasize Bard support aspects rather than an aspect that's kind of just there regardless. But the heal, it's like, yeah, no. Not a fan. It's cool and could be brought back. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, you could bring the heal Bardic Inspiration back. It's just, for this, it's not enough. So, of course, it buffs later on. So, expertise at 2nd level. It's expertise. Performance and persuasion are the iconic choices. I like how they specifically say iconic choices. It's like, sure, you can pick anything else, but come on, of course you're taking these two. They're the most... Performance is just... It's performance. That's your thing. You're a bard. You're supposed to perform. And persuasion is... You're a bard. You're charisma-based. You want persuasion. And then Songs of Restoration. Another band-aid for the fact that they screwed up your spell list. And yeah. So you just get 5 support spells. So you're stuck with Healing Word, Lesser Restoration, Mass Healing Word, Freedom of Movement, and Greater Restoration. You don't get revives, like Revivify or Raise Dead. You don't get the good out-of-combat healing, such as Cure Wounds. You don't even get Mass Cure Wounds. And, of course, I mean, at the very least, they give you Healing Word and Mass Healing Word, which are the best 2 healing spells at their level, and are actually good to have. But it is kind of like, yeah, thank you, Wizards. I get 5 more spells. And boom. And you don't even get it at 1st level. It's just, oh, you have to wait till a level late to get the spell. It's awful. It's just a terribly designed feature that's throwing a band-aid on the problem rather than actually fixing the problem and acknowledging bards should have had their own spell list still. There should have been a 4th spell list for them. Like, and it's kind of like, you look at Pathfinder 2e, and it's like, as much as I don't like having shared spell lists there, at the very least, it was also, they didn't have this problem where, yeah, they had 4 spell lists. So bards had their own spell list still. It doesn't really fit them, because I don't know why occult is even a spell source, or why bards are occult for some reason. That is not an association I would ever make. But hey, it works. 3rd level bard subclass. I'll be honest, this is actually the other thing I really like about this UA, is that bard subclasses don't work the same as they did. Thank you, Wizards. This was ingenious. Give one of the 2 worst subclass progression classes better subclass progression. It was amazing. Please bring this back. I don't care if... Like, I could care less about standardized subclass progression unless it was A, at 1st level, and B, had at least 5 features and had a end game feature at 18 or 20. Those 2 things I would be fine with standardized subclass progression. This way, no, not a big fan of it, but I do have to acknowledge there were two classes that had some benefits from it. Bard, of course, being the biggest and the undeniable benefactor of this change. 4th level feat, yeah. 5th level Jack of all trades. It's roughly unchanged. I don't remember. But it's like, yeah. You add your proficiency, you don't have it already. 7th, Font of Bardic Inspiration. Oh boy, this already sucks as a feature. It's the worst. And they moved it further back, so it's like, oh, great. I have to wait even longer for Font of Inspiration. Whoop-de-doo. However, in addition, the second part was actually cool, though, where it's like, oh, you rolled a 1 on your Bardic Inspiration. It's okay, you get to keep it. Thank you. Rolling 1 on Bardic Inspiration to do stuff is bad. So at least refunding it if you rolled a 1, that's good in my book. Where it's only expended if it does something decent. Of course, this does mean you can still technically roll Bardic Inspiration and get it back. Make a roll succeed and get it back, but 9th level expertise number 2. Boom. Ironically, they don't give you 2 default choices here, but then again, it's dependent on your skills anyway, so it is what it is. 10th level is a subclass feature. There's also one at 6th, but the 10th level one is the big one, because that's the new feature, where you didn't get one at 10th level before, because you only got 3. And that's the big change is, hey, at 10th level, you have another subclass feature. Thank you, wizards. It was ingenious. 11th is Magical Secrets. Still hate it. But, oh well. But basically, you can choose up to 2 spells from a spell list of your choice to prepare. Boom. Then we get further Magical Secrets. Choose another spell list. It can't be the same, but you get another 2 spells to prepare from that school. So yeah, it's definitely a lot better than the next version. I'll say that much. It works. I think the original one, it's okay. It's kind of an annoying one because they can just do whatever the heck they want, but oh well. 18th, Superior Bardic Inspiration. Yeah. No, it's hard to be excited for this, but at the very least, it was whenever you roll initiative, period, you regain 2 Bardic Inspirations. Which means, if you just roll initiative, you automatically get them. Don't have to be empty, which is great. And then Epic Boon, which that's a system that's gone away. Good riddance to it. It was just a dumb decision, in my opinion, because it's cool in theory, but in practice, once you hit 18th level, your class doesn't matter. Which doesn't feel right to me, and I'm like, yeah, I was regularly like every time, it's like, yeah, I don't like this. I would like something from my class at 20th, not something that is a generic thing. So, good riddance to that. And also you've got your spells prepared. Those, like, suggested lists, they're like, meh. Not the biggest fan of them, but they existed. So that's the base bard. Overall, this was really marred by the spellcasting change and the other changes that were kind of trying to band-aid that. And what did they do? They made it frickin' worse. So, instead of fixing the problem of, hey, they could kind of use their own spell list again, that would be nice, Wizards decided, okay, we'll make your spell casting even worse. Now, you choose a spell list. Any of the 3 spell lists, that's your spell list, plus Vicious Mockery, which they admittedly buffed, which is actually good, because D4 damage was not great, especially when they added another cantrip that dealt D6 damage and did the same thing as Vicious Mockery, so buffed Vicious Mockery, good. But why the heck is Bard the variable list caster? It's stupid. Like, once again, instead of fixing the problem, you've just gone a totally different direction, and at the very least, there's not school restrictions anymore, because, oh boy, that would suck. But, as funny as it is to be able to choose to be a primal bard again, and have druid spells, I don't really want druid spells on my bard. It doesn't really fit them. Like, the musical casting doesn't really mesh well. Divine has all the good healing and support stuff, but doesn't have the enchantment and illusions. Arcane has the enchantment and illusion stuff, but not the support. So you're stuck with a, like, small part of what you used to have, and it's not until later that you can get that arsenal back in the most annoying way possible. But, yeah, it's just, I feel like there is potential here to do a variable source caster. Bard was not the class. You could do it with Sorcerer, because heck, that's what Pathfinder did, is, hey, instead of making Sorcerer a second arcane class, it's a variable source class. It's a neat concept. Not the biggest fan of it, because it ultimately means that you're likely going to take a lot of the same best spells from that list, especially since you're kind of limited on what you know anyway, so yeah, it does run into the just take the good spells of a list and call it a day, but the idea is neat in theory. Still only have 2 cantrips. Yeah, no, this is kind of annoying, especially after the previous one where Warlock and Sorcerer got cantrips known for free. Why the heck would Bard not get that with Vicious Mockery? Please, let me get Vicious Mockery for free. It's so annoying having to take one of my 2 cantrips known, which is really bad. Yeah, no, I don't want the cantrip tax anymore. Please remove this, Wizards. It's been horrendous every time. So that's a spell. And also prepared spells. Except it's not prepared spells. Oh boy, I hate this. Like, I could go on a whole tirade on how stupid this terminology change is, and how it adds nothing to the game except confusion, because now you have to actually look at how it works to realize, oh wait, I'm not working the same as another caster, instead of what we had, which was a lot easier to understand, that it's like, oh wait, if I learn spells, I can't change them every day. If I prepare spells, I can change them every day. A lot easier to understand that. Then Bardic Inspiration. Yeah, they removed the healing thing, which, fair. It, without the, like, I can understand why they removed it. It was like, yeah, with how we're changing spells, it does make more sense where it's like, you don't always need the healing. But they went back to inspiring specific creatures as a bonus action. Yeah, not my favorite thing to do. It's, yeah. But at the very least, they're now able to use it in reaction to failing a d20 test, which is kept from the previous version, which, thank you. Oh my gosh, it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, it should have done this from the start, because the last thing you want to do is use your bardic inspiration, and then the d20 is like a nat 20 or something. It's like, great, I wasted bardic inspiration on a crit. Or something else that's like, well, dang it, I would have succeeded anyway. Or you roll it and it's so low that it's like, yeah, no, it wouldn't help at all. So having this change is thank you. And also I'm going to double check. Oh, yeah. Yeah, they changed it to proficiency bonus. Oh, I also hate that. So I'm glad they brought back the charisma uses per day. I wish it was just automatically have font, but oh well, it is what it is. And the reason I like the charisma modifier use is it feels more dynamic, and it's like, I affect this. It's not just a static thing that, oh, my proficiency bonus increased, boom, it increases. Especially when it's like, I have a main stat. It should matter more. But, and it's like, on a race, sure, the proficiency bonus uses actually make sense, and is, in my opinion, better for them, because we don't know what class you're playing. We don't know what your main stat is, so we're going to go with the more generic thing, so you don't have to worry about that. But, yeah, having the charisma uses back, it's good. In this version, I think it's great. I liked the reactive one, but I'm fine with this as well, where it's better than it was. It does what it's supposed to do. It's good. Spellcasting, worse in, like, it's still bad. Fortunately, though, they are bringing class spell lists back in the next version, so they're saved. Second level, Jack of all trades is back where it belongs. It's second level, because their other feature is utterly scrapped, because screw Songs of Restoration. Like, yeah, Song of Rest being gone, it's not great, but I mean, it's a feature that just kind of existed. You never really fully cared about it, so it's not the biggest loss, though I wouldn't mind seeing it stay around. But to me, it's like, we don't need it back, though it would be nice if they got it back at second level, or if it was some, like, bigger feature. It was kind of a fluff thing that was cool to do, even if it wasn't really amazing or special, or you really cared about it too much, but it was there. Expertise. Bard subclasses. Yeah, they've gone backwards. They're back to just having 3 levels of features, which, no. Please. Like, please. It's so bad. If only because it's like, they don't do much. There's not much room to do stuff, so it's like, they're all crammed into only 3 levels worth of features, and it means that there's not a lot of opportunity to expand on what they do and all that. And it kind of means that the subclasses matter the least of any class. And the dog's yapping. I'll be back in a moment. Alright, I've returned. So, yeah, Bard subclasses. Font of Inspiration. Thanks, I still hate it. And I'd actually even say this one's worse. Because you can use a spell slot to use it again. Yeah, I'm not really gonna do that much. It's like, because usually a first level spell slot is still gonna be better than using a Bardic Inspiration. It's kind of meh, especially if you get it back with a short rest. It's like, you don't really need it that much. So I feel like it's just kind of there, but useless. It's not great. I preferred the you keep it if you rolled a 1. Or perhaps if the check still failed. Because that way it would be more reliable of if you use the die and it doesn't help, then you get to keep the die. I think that would be the best option for this, like keeping it. Especially if they're going to keep to the old inspiration, like you give it to people as a bonus action on your turn, rather than like reactively inspiring. But it is what it is. And this one, yeah, I still hate it. Counter Charm returned and is actually useful, I think. So, can use a reaction to give them advantage with a reroll. Great. It can change something from being, oh gosh, we've been feared, to, okay, good, we're safe. So it's definitely a good ability to see return as something that's actually good. Expertise again. It's expertise. Magical Secrets. Oh boy, this one is bad. Not only is it absolutely ridiculous, it's also the most infuriating version you could possibly make. Because it sucks in actual play. So, you have all spells on your spell list. Every spell in the game is on your spell list, unless it's class specific. The problem is, you don't have more spells known, which means you have to use retraining. And also, sure, the new spells you learn can be on any list, but yeah, this sucks. It's so bad. Like, and also it's like, okay, finally I can have the arsenal I used to have. Eventually. It's going to take forever to do it, but I can do it. And it's just so poorly designed. Like, and I feel like this might have been designed with the idea that, oh, we're going to keep them actually preparing spells rather than learning them. But they didn't. And this sucks even more, where it's, oh, I hate this. It's so stupid. 18th Superior Inspiration. This is still Superior Inspiration, which is odd, but oh well. Not going to complain too much. And when you roll initiative, and yeah, they nerfed it, where it's just no inspiration left. You regain 2. Yeah, not really worth it, wizards. Because, yeah. And something I've seen pointed out is it should be if you have 1, then you get a use back. So it's like if you have less than 2, you have 2 when you start combat. That way, if you only have 1 left, then you still get the 1. But these are just meh, hard to care about, especially so late. Especially when it's like when you have none left. It's like, yeah, no, I don't really care. Words of Creation, actually cool. You always have power word heal and kill prepared, and you cast either. You can target 2 creatures with it. Oh boy, is this hilarious. This one, it's like, okay, this is a capstone. Not only do you automatically learn 2 9th level spells, they're even more powerful than normal. Oh boy, is this a cool one. It's like, yeah, you're a master with these spells. Have fun. Where it's like, this is how you make a capstone feature, where it's like, yes, you're a high-powered character. You get something cool at the end. It's like, yeah, you've gone through 20 levels. Here's something epic to do. And it's probably one of the best they've had in One D&D. Then we get over to the subclasses. So I'm going to go through these. There's not much to talk about in regards to Dance, Glamour, and Valor, but I'll give some mentions to them anyway. But we will talk about lore in more detail. As lore, yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. So basically, I think the only major change is that you lose improved cutting words because you don't have a 10th level feature from your subclass, so they removed that feature. So, on one hand, the bonus proficiencies here were just Arcana, History, and Nature, which makes sense. And if you already had a proficiency, you get to choose another. So it kind of plays similarly. It's just this one straight up any 3 skills. It doesn't matter if you already have them or not. You don't automatically have these 3. So you don't have to take them. Though I personally think you should have History, Arcana, and History on a College of Lore Bard. It's weird if you don't. It feels wrong, but you could. But this one, it's just simpler. It's more elegant, where it's like, yeah, you just get any 3 skills. It doesn't matter. Cutting words, I don't think really changed. Oh, actually, they changed cutting words. I forgot. But cutting words, basically, whenever somebody, in this version, whenever someone succeeds on an ability check or attack roll, you could use reaction to use Bardic Inspiration to subtract the number from their die. It didn't reduce damage, but that's because you had a reactive heal. So here they brought back the old one where you can use, where you can also reduce damage. And of course, you've lost improved cutting words, which would actually deal psychic damage whenever you used cutting words. And it was the Bardic Inspiration die plus your Charisma, which was kind of neat, actually. Where it's like, boom, psychic damage. And I actually really like that. I really hope they bring this back. Like, please, Wizards, bring back the 10th level features for Bard subclasses. It was amazing because of stuff like this, where, yeah, you get more. It's like, you know, I only get 3 things for my subclass. Technically 4, but it's just proficiencies. Then, of course, you have magical discoveries, so you just learn 2 extra spells of any spell list. Which, that's what it's always done. Though, then they changed it to Cunning Inspiration. So, well, actually, they changed it from Cunning Inspiration, where they had this other feature where it's like, hey, you roll Bardic Inspiration die twice. Ironically, on the version that didn't give it to creatures, so yeah. But hey, advantage on Bardic Inspiration dice. It's a cool one, though I don't entirely, well, yeah, it is what it is. But here, Magical Discoveries is back, which I actually like for lore because, like, yeah, you're the bard of many knowledges, so you get to learn more stuff. It makes sense to me. And as much as I'm not the biggest fan of magical secrets, I do like the idea that, hey, you get more spells known as College of Lore, and you get it earlier, even. But, though an addendum would be, give them an extra cantrip. I think that'd be cool. If they just got a free cantrip known from any class, I think that'd be cool. A cool addition to the class, subclass. Because Bard subclasses don't do much in general, so anything more would be appreciated. Peerless skill. I don't think it changed much, as I recall. Oh, it was just ability checks in the last one. Yeah. So basically, when you make an ability check and fail, you can expend a Bardic Inspiration to do it. Boom. Though I will point out that this doesn't really do much for you. Because ultimately, if you're using... You don't make many attack rolls as a bard. Like, heck, I don't even think they got a spell attack type thing until literally the last UA added True Strike as a cantrip. Though, it is worth mentioning that this was using all the spell lists, so theoretically you could get Firebolt and stuff like that. So there is that, but now it's kind of like, yeah, it's there. I don't really care about it, though, because I don't use weapons often. And sure, Lore's ironically one of the ones that can use True Strike effectively, unlike poor College of Valor, but it is what it is. And it's just one of those things of the attack roll part, it's nice to have. It just doesn't do much for a bard who's normally all about spells with save DCs and very much not spell attacks. But yeah. That's just the way it is sometimes. As for the others, I think, of course, all of them, they need something at 10th level. Please. That's like one of the most subtly annoying things about this one is that they removed the 10th level feature. I don't care about backwards compatibility, wizards. Please give bard subclasses more stuff. But anyway, as for where I would expect this to go, I really hope they bring back actual prepared casting for Bard, because that was actually really nice. Add the 4th feature to Bard subclasses, and make Font of Inspiration something actually fun, and just make it baseline, please. Make 5th level something actually interesting, not just, oh hey, you get them as a short rest now. Which, I wish it just happened by default, but oh well. This is the world we live in. But without further ado, I hope you've enjoyed this first kind of look back at the best and worst of the 2 versions of the Bard in One D&D. So feel free to like and subscribe to keep in tune for more, of which will be coming shortly. But without further ado, I'll see y'all next time. Halo Zoo out.